Anniversary since the docking of the HMT Windrush at Tilbury. Now, I'm going to take my hat off right now as Specialist Advisor because I'm Chairman of the Windrush National Organisation. The Windrush National Organisation has been described as the largest community-based Windrush organisation in the country. At the moment, we have 20 affiliates across the country. By the end of this year, that will increase to 30, and we'll be looking at covering about 25 cities across the United Kingdom as well, where we have plans to visit places like Belfast, Edinburgh, Glasgow, and many other places in the United Kingdom. We hold monthly meetings with the Home Office online at the moment, but they are with Home Office directors and decision makers as well. And we do speak to Lord Murray, who is the Windrush Minister as well, and we're actually meeting with him next month. And when I say meeting with him, I mean our organisation's meeting with him as well next month. So Windrush, you've clearly heard about the Windrush scandal, but that doesn't really define the Windrush generation. The Windrush generation are our elders, many of them live here, who came here to help rebuild Britain. I call it put the great back into Great Britain, having to pay their own passages to come to the UK. 22nd of June 1948 is described as the commencement of mass migration to the UK. However, I call it a mass homecoming, simply because islands such as Jamaica, Barbados, St. Kitts, Nevis, I think even Nigeria and Ghana, they were all under the British flag. So their flag was the Union Jack, and their national anthem was God Save the King, which became God Save the Queen. So when they talk about migrants coming to the UK, that's actually wrong. It's just British people coming to Britain. Unfortunately, when many of the islands became independent, like Jamaica did, a lot of people lost their citizenship, being British rather, and there was a whole melee of things and people had to repurchase that. But during this time, we want to honour our elders and thank them for their service. As you probably may be aware, in July is NHS 75 as well. So if you join the two together, it's quite, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to understand that the Windrush generation were responsible for helping to build up the NHS as well. Here in Birmingham, places like the Queensway Tunnel, a lot of the tower blocks that have been built in this city, IMI, which was a munitions factory in Witton. Many people talk about the Windrush generation just serving in the military, but we forget about the people that had to facilitate the military having weapons. Many of the Windrush generation worked in the munitions industry at IMI. Many of them worked in the car industry. Remember, Birmingham was the leading light in car manufacture. I'm sure the mayor would agree with me as well. It was. My father-in-law, who lives here, worked in the furnace casting engines for British Leyland cars and Rover cars. I'm sure there's a car driving around today with his signature on an engine. The point is this, it's to give honour to our elders and the contribution that they have made to our, not just our great city, but to United Kingdom as well. The Windrush scandal does not define who we are, but it does define the discrimination that the Windrush generation faced when they came here. Because the Empire Windrush actually docked on the 21st of June 1948, but it actually laid anchor in the Thames Estuary, whilst the then government, and we're not going to be political about this, but I call it how it is, the then Labour government, 10 MPs, put a motion to Parliament for the ship to be turned around for the black people to go pick peanuts in Ghana. But that laid the foundational cornerstone of the treatment that many received when they came here. No place to live. People having to have the bed shift system, you know, whilst one person's at work, someone's in the bed, for example. No blacks, no Irish, no dogs. Going to church, imagine, my wife's from Barbados. Anyone knows anything about Barbados? The main church there is the Anglican church. They went to church, an Anglican church, and got told, please don't come back next week, you're upsetting people here, for example. But the resilience, we have to celebrate the resilience as well and give God thanks for our elders, because the resilience that they had, they're through pardon. And the same houses that they were turned away from, they purchased them. Then they helped their next door, they helped their friend to purchase the house next door and the house next door. And what did they do? They all bought, they all took people in. That's why we've got at that time we had such a tight and close-knit community. The same churches that we were turned away from. We started Sunday school in kitchens, in lounges. Then we went to the school hall or the little social club. And then eventually we got enough money together and we bought the same churches that we were turned away from. That spirit of the Windrush, we need to rekindle that. And that's what we need to be doing. And when everyone's having their celebration of Windrush 75, remember why we're celebrating it. The scandal is there and we need to deal with the scandal. And I'm pleased to say, we're not boasting that the Windrush National Organisation is the leading organisation in the country. We're saying we are an organisation started from a street protest in Birmingham, and now we're in the Home Office. With no fancy titles, maybe a bishop. They may call me Your Grace when I go into the House of Commons, but there are no fancy titles. This was just started from the streets of Birmingham, and they listened to us, and we have had changes made. One very quick thing I need to share with you is this. We have a danger in this country where second and third generation children born here after 1983, at the moment, some of them are stateless. We're going to start a campaign for people to get their British passports, for them to come forward. We're coming across young people who were born after 1983, they're stateless and their children are stateless. So please spread the word about that. Just ask people, grandparents, when you're around a dining table on a Sunday with the grandkids, just say to them, have you got your British passport yet? Because that's important. And I know right here in Newtown there are people caught up in that, but they won't come forward because they believe it's easier to hide away than it is to deal with it. So therefore, on Windrush Day, we give God thanks for our elders, but remember, the journey is still continuing. And we won't stop until the journey towards equity is achieved, because we need to level the playing field. Because we're good people. And the thing about it is, some may recognize or say rather that we're not good people. But I know we are. So, a young man from Bradford who looks like me, and he looks like me because he's related to me. 4 years ago, he designed this. It was an idea he had. This is now become the recognised Windrush national flag. Is it that way?
Yeah.
All right. This has now become the recognised Windrush national and international flag. It is now raised at the Home Office, the House of Commons. It's raised at the Jamaican Parliament. Last year it was actually on the notice board, the electronic board, of 60 network rail stations around the country. The NHS nationally this year has adopted this flag so that they can display this flag as well. Now we know that many local organisations, locally they have a local flag, but this is the recognised national flag. It wasn't commissioned by the government, it was actually someone's idea. And it has now been sorry?
You're going to say?
Trying to do a photograph.
Oh, are you? Well, there you go. We'll do one afterwards. But this is now the recognised flag. And there's a little treat for you tonight. I also have the Windrush 75, official Windrush 75 badges with me. They are £5 each. But you can have them for nothing. So we've got them here. That's a little gift from the Windrush National Organisation. The Mayor's wearing his.
Got mine already.
So when we've finished, we've got some here. I think I've got about 100 on me. So it'll only be one each, I'm afraid. But we will give those to you as well. So remember, the 22nd of June is about giving God thanks for our elders and their contribution as well. And finally, Windrush isn't a black thing, because a lot of people, there was another set of people here that we became very close to rather, and that was the Irish community. Because remember, the sign said, no blacks, no Irish, no dogs. So we must always remember where we're coming from And remember as well, we've got a long journey ahead of us. So thank you very much. And finally, when I say give God thanks, we have our service of thanksgiving. The mayor's coming to it, the Lord Lieutenant, the leader of the council, the Lord Mayor. Sunday the 25th at 4:45. We've got a choir of about 50 people. And our service will be at the New Testament Church of God, 240 Lascelles Road, more commonly known as George Street Church. We're having it there this year because the Windrush generation purchased the church, which was an old church, refurbished it, then it started sinking, and then they had it demolished and built a massive church there now that can seat 1,000 people. So please tell your friends as well, come along. There will be about 20 ministers participating, and also as well, we're going to give the mayor a job to do as well there, and others. So thank you very much everyone for your attention there. So thank you.